Exerstrider Method Nordic walking is a total body exercise that combines the simplicity of walking with total body fitness benefits, much like those of cross-country or Nordic skiing. Exerstriding is the original Nordic walking technique. My wife Wendy and I have been enjoying the total body health and fitness benefits of fitness walking with poles since 1985, and I've been teaching others my techniques since 1988. I'll show you my special techniques that put your entire body to use and build more fitness in less time. You're about to discover an exercise that's more fun, effective, and motivating than you ever thought possible.
Hi, my name is Tom Rutlin, and in the next few minutes I'm going to teach you some easy to learn but specific techniques that will allow you to turn ordinary walking into a total body exercise with health benefits much like those of cross-country skiing.
Before we go outside and begin to learn the technique, let's make sure the poles are completely assembled. The grips come assembled on the shaft, so all you'll need to do is take the cushion grip tip and put that on the tip retainer collar on the opposite end from the grip. Looks like a little foot. And the toe is going to point in the opposite direction from the direction you're walking. So turn the pole over and rest it on the floor. Take the cushion grip tip and place it over the tip retainer collar. It's a tight fit, but if you push and rock at the same time, you can get it to go down until it's flush with the tip retainer collar's top. Now let's just check the alignment. I tried to align it so that it was, if the front of the grip is here, the toe is pointing in the opposite direction. If you need to, just place it between your feet and twist the grip one way or the other until it's perfectly aligned so that the tip, the little toe on the tip, is pointing in the opposite direction from that which you'll be walking. If you've chosen to purchase the bell-shaped tip because you use the poles primarily for balance, I'll show you how to install that. Just place the bell-shaped tip on the floor and wet the area around the opening. Put your tip retainer collar over the opening and use the weight of your body to push it in. Get it completely onto the tip retainer collar. If you've selected to buy the OS2 series poles, it's a two-piece telescoping pole. Both models are. The OS2 Fitness Trekker is a blue two-piece telescoping pole. You hold the top section and turn the bottom section counterclockwise. That loosens the mechanism. Pull it out. There are length measurements marked on the lower section, so refer to your manual to approximately what length you should adjust the pole. Get it to approximately that length, and then turn the bottom section clockwise. To check to see that it's adjusted properly, put the tip even with the back of your heel and hold the grip in your hand. And as you can see, your forearm should be roughly parallel to the ground. Once you're sure you've got it adjusted to the proper length, note the mark on the pole that's nearest and make a mental note of that so the next time you can adjust it quickly. Then tighten very firmly the bottom section by turning it clockwise, and then you'll need to make sure that the tip and the grip are aligned, and you're always going to need to turn the pole clockwise to make the adjustment. If you need to, you can turn it nearly 180 degrees to get it to the proper adjustment. If you forget to do this and you turn it counterclockwise, it's going to loosen it might loosen the mechanism and cause the pole to collapse. So make sure that you do it in a clockwise direction. Once the tip is aligned so that it's pointed in the opposite direction that you're walking, you're ready to go. In order to stow the pole or readjust it for another person or travel with it, hold the top of the shaft and turn the bottom in a counterclockwise direction, collapse it, and then tighten it up just enough so that it stays telescoped down. And then you've got a convenient travel size. If you've selected our OS2 Fitness Trekker ATS, the ATS is our all-terrain, all-season pole. It's a green pole, two-piece telescoping, and it adjusts the same way the OS2, the blue OS2 adjusts. It comes with a metal tip ferrule that can be used with just the metal tip in icy conditions or in conditions where you need the maximum traction on unstable surfaces. And the cushion grip tip can be placed over the metal ferrule. Just push it on and it fits firmly. You'll adjust the direction of that tip in the same way that you would on the OS2. In addition to the cushion grip tip, the OS2 ATS, all-terrain, all-season, comes with a large set of baskets. This takes you into the winter season. The poles can be used for snowshoeing, for cross-country skiing, and they also come with a small basket which can be used for hiking. It's useful to use a basket like this when you're hiking on trails to keep the pole from going down between rock crevices, or during stream crossings to keep the pole from sinking into the mud or going down into the rocks and getting stuck. And you can also combine either one of the baskets just to keep brush off the tip and keep it from catching on a branch and pulling the tip off as you're hiking on trails with good surfaces. To install the snow basket tip, you'll put the concave curve upward, so slide it down over the ferrule. Put your hand on either side to avoid the metal tip and snap it down on so that it's flush with the flare of the collar up here. To remove it, put your hand under, twist and pull. They can be a little stubborn, especially when they're new, but once they've gone on and off a couple times, they're a lot easier to install and remove. To install the basket, it goes with the concave side up when it's installed, so you push it down over the ferrule, and it actually has a set of threads that match a set of threads on the ferrule. So just turn it clockwise and it threads right on until it fits flush with the flared shoulder on the top of the ferrule. You can see it's completely flush and it won't come off. To remove it, just turn in the other direction and it will thread right off. So you can carry these when you're hiking and put them on and off depending on the conditions if you need to.
Let's take a look at the grips on the poles now.
Our patented ergonomic grip fits your hand like no other grip. The front is parallel to the shaft and the back flares out to cradle your palm. This flared platform on the side will allow you to apply a strong force to the pole with each stride while keeping your hand very relaxed.
Before we begin to learn the techniques, let's show you how exerstriding works. A lot of people say, well, I can see your arms and legs are moving, but how does that give you total body exercise? In order to demonstrate, I'll ask you to put one of your poles down and hold the other pole. Extend your arm out as though you're reaching out for a friendly handshake with a slight bend in your elbow, and put that pole in your hand, leaning slightly forward. Now take your other hand and place it on your abdominal muscle. Then push the pole into the ground and do a pulsing push so you can feel the muscle in the abdominal contract and relax. Now this is the kind of push that you put into the pole with each stride. So if in a mile walked, you're going to do about 1,800 of these abdominal contractions. You have a pole in each hand, and with each stride this will happen. Reach around here underneath the arm to the back of the arm, muscle called the tricep. You can feel the same kind of contraction occurs with each pulse push of the pole. Reach around back here on the side of the back, large muscle that runs from the shoulder down to the lower back called the latissimus dorsi, and you can push down and feel that muscle contract. Also the pectoral muscle, the muscle in the chest. Basically, each time you press on the pole, you get contractions of all the major muscles in the trunk. The whole point of exerstriding is to involve the muscles in the upper body. More than 50% of your muscle mass is in your upper body, and some people say to me, I don't have any muscle in my upper body because I don't exercise. But the truth is we all have more than 50% of our muscle mass is in our upper body. Now when you start to work it with each stride, you're going to burn more calories, you're going to consume more oxygen. On the average, without feeling like you're working any harder, you're going to burn about 25% more calories. If you put some significant effort into the work of the upper body, which is what I try to do each time that I exerstride, you can get increases in the range of 50%, and we've done a human performance laboratory testing where increases of over 70% have been realized by people who really applied a lot of force. In terms of cardiovascular effect, you're going to increase your heart rate by 10 to 15 beats per minute at any given walking pace compared to exerstriding. Let's get started on learning proper technique. First of all, we talked about the handshake position. That's the position of the arm with each stride. So the hand should be extended out in front of the body with a slight bend in the elbow, not locked out and not bent, extended with a slight bend. When you do this, the pole should lean back. The pole isn't held vertical to the ground, it's actually at an angle. Now let's talk about how you get into that proper position with the pole. It's as simple as starting out with the pole at your side, keeping a very relaxed grip on the pole, and raising your hand up into the handshake position. If you do this, you can feel how the pole finds its own location and creates this resistance to the push that you'll apply with each force. Don't try to pick the pole up and decide where it should go by grasping it tightly. Just relax the hand, pick it up, and it will come to this position. You don't need a lot of things to think about when you're learning, so let this happen by itself. Okay, then the motion of the arm is the next thing that we need to talk about. The handshake position is the number one thing to remember. The number two things to remember is how the arm moves. It moves like a pump handle. You can see that the arm rises and falls. The pivot point is at the shoulder, and it really retains a fixed lever shape. It doesn't bend like this. It stays in one position, rising and falling. It resembles a pump handle on the old-fashioned pump where you're getting the water out of the well. So if you don't pay attention to this, I guarantee that you're going to go out and you're going to start doing something like this, which I call the sawing technique. If you do that, all of the work gets transferred into the small muscle on the back of the arm, the tricep. It's going to feel like you're actually working harder perhaps, but you're not going to get the benefits. Reach out, push down, and try for yourself. Push down and feel how it works the tricep. Reach out into the handshake position, push down and feel how all the work goes into the large muscles in the trunk. This is the key, keeping the work in the large muscles in the trunk with each stride. Before we begin with the poles, let me emphasize one thing. Anybody can learn to exerstride in just a few minutes if you realize that exerstriding is as simple as walking. The only major difference between exerstriding and walking is in the range of motion of the arms. When you walk, your arms swing in front of your body and behind your body. When you exerstride, the arms are accentuated in their swing forward, so they actually do not go behind the body. The range of motion for exerstriding is like this. Remember the pump handle motion? The range of motion for walking is something like this. So your arms will move in this manner. In terms of the relationship of the motion of the arms and the legs, it's exactly like walking. If you try to think about it too much, it'll get complicated. If you just do what comes naturally, it'll be very simple. Now it's time to really begin to learn how to exerstride. Remember that I've told you that as you walk and you exerstride, the arms and the legs move in a very similar fashion. The only difference is when you exerstride, your arms move further out in front of your body into that handshake position. So the simplest way to learn is to begin by hanging your poles loosely at your side, relax your arms, and then just start walking. After you get into a normal stride, begin to move your arms further and further forward until that pole comes into that position that we just talked about and you feel the resistance. Then apply force to the pole and you've made the transition from walking to exerstriding. And it looks like this. Just begin to move. Swing your arms naturally as you would when you're walking. Begin to swing the arms further and further forward until you feel that pole land in the position and create the resistance. Then push, moving the arm like a pendulum, like a pump handle, pushing yourself forward, and you've made the simple transition from walking to exerstriding. I've introduced hundreds of people to exerstriding in live workshops, so I know that there are going to be a few of you out there who are going to refuse to believe that it can be this simple. So you're going to try to make it more complicated than it really is, and you're going to get your mind too involved. As soon as you begin to try to walk naturally, you're going to start to think about how should I be moving my arms and my legs, and you're probably going to do something like this. If that happens to you, just stop, hang your hands loosely at your side, and begin to walk and keep that natural stride. If it takes a number of tries, do it. You need to do it until you get a natural stride going and you can make that gradual transition with your arm extended further into exerstriding. Just work at it and it will come. Allow what comes natural to happen. Stop using your mind so much. Let your body do what it knows to do naturally. The next most common mistake people make is they can get themselves into a normal walking stride and they make the transition to extending their arm out somewhat, but they bend their elbow. So it ends up looking something like this. Remember, we want you to get your arms out extended like you're in a handshake position, and the arm should move like a pump handle. Not like this, but like this.
This is so important, we're going to show it to you one more time.
So it ends up looking something like this. Remember, we want you to get your arms out extended like you're in a handshake position, and the arm should move like a pump handle. Not like this, but like this. Another problem that you might encounter is you've made the transition from walking to exerstriding, and all of a sudden your arms and legs don't seem to be moving together. If that happens, just stop, hang your hands loosely at your side, put one leg out in front of the other, the opposite arm extended out into the handshake position, the hand on the same side as the extended leg hanging loosely at your side, and then just lean back on your back leg and push off, and the arms have to begin in a coordinated fashion. If you get out of coordination again, just stop and get started again with a kickstart. It'll soon feel natural and you'll be able to maintain the coordination. If you're still having problems coordinating your arms and your legs, I've got one more technique to pull out of the basket. It's called the march technique. Now, if you'll notice when I exerstride, there's a relationship between the footfalls and the planting of the pole. So just get a little marching tune going in your head or audibly.
bum bum ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-dum ba-da-dum ba-dum ba-da-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-da-dum bum bum bum.
If you find the march technique useful, you may want to get one of those cassettes with march music on it and wear it in your Walkman while you're learning. There's more video to follow, but I strongly recommend that you stop the tape during this intermission and go out and give it a try while the instructions are fresh in your mind. Then, once you feel like you're getting the hang of it, come back in and view the rest of this tape.
Now in no time you'll begin to feel comfortable with this motion. It's new to you, and you're for the first time becoming a quadruped since you crawled on all fours. So you've got to learn to coordinate the motion of the arms, the light landing of the pole, and the force applied. You'll tend to be more able to do this with your dominant hand. If you're right-handed, you're going to find that your left pole tip tends to bounce and skitter a little bit, but you will develop coordination with that hand so that you'll be able to match the coordination on both sides, land the pole lightly, and then apply force. Don't impact the pole on the ground, land it lightly, and then apply the force. Impacting the pole is only going to invite injury. Remember I said, when you begin, let the tips drag. Now once you've mastered the basic technique, you can add some nuances of form, and the control of the tip is done by, at the end of the push, simply apply some force at the top of the hand by rotating the wrist forward a little bit. That lifts the pole off the ground, bring it forward, relax the hand, and bring it down to a light landing. This will require, again, some technique development and a little time until it becomes natural, but you can learn to lift that pole up, bring it to a light landing, and then apply a force. People ask me, how often should I exercise? Well, the experts tell us if we exercise 2 or 3 times a week for 30 minutes, it's good. But basically, I think exercise is a little bit like dental hygiene. It's best if it's done every day. You can have healthy teeth if you brush your teeth 2 or 3 times a week, but you'll have much healthier teeth and gums if you do it every day. And exercise really is a gift that you can give yourself. Putting your body in motion makes you feel better, increases the quality of your life. If you get away from the high-intensity exercise that most people prescribe and do something that's moderate intensity, total body exercise like exerstriding, it's something that you can do every day and you'll actually enjoy it. How should I exercise if I want to maximize my weight loss? Well, the key to weight loss is to exercise for as long a duration as possible. It doesn't do much good to go out and exercise for 20 or 30 minutes at a high intensity, because what happens is your body tends to burn its readily available carbohydrate sources. If you can exercise for 30 or 45 minutes, or even better, 60 minutes, you start to get into a mode where your body is burning primarily stored fats. It's already exhausted the carbohydrates, and you're starting to burn stored fats. So if you have trouble getting that extended period of time of exercise, try going out on the weekends and exerstriding for 45 minutes, an hour, even an hour and a half. If you go out and hike in a beautiful nature area, you can pass 2 or 3 hours walking along, exerstriding, enjoying the scenery, and not consider it exercise at all. People also ask me, where can I use the Exerstriders? Basically, anywhere you walk, you can exerstride. People are using the Exerstriders for mall walking. They've used the Exerstriders to do the entire Appalachian Trail. People like to walk along the beach with their Exerstriders. And I do 90% of my walking on paved sidewalks and streets in my neighborhood. That's one of my favorite things about exerstriding, is I can walk out my door and do my favorite activity without going to a special place. Some of you former runners and fitness walkers who are accustomed to using speed to enhance your workout say, well, can I really keep in shape if I just walk at 3 to 3.5 miles per hour? when using the poles? Well, if you use the techniques that I've just taught you and really involve the upper body muscles, the large muscles in the trunk and the upper body, you are going to more than make up for the lack of speed by increasing the overall intensity of the exercise. I've been exerstriding for about 15 years, and I do all of my exerstriding at about 3 to 3.5 miles per hour. I try to accentuate the amount of work that I do with my upper body. I think of myself as a quadruped and try to provide as much of the forward propulsion as possible with my upper body, and by doing that I've been able to maintain the same cardiovascular fitness level and the same lean body mass as I had 15 years ago, more than 15 years ago when I was a runner. In addition to the instructional video, you also received an instruction manual. Please take the time to read that. There's a lot of information contained in the manual that's valuable. In the middle of the manual, you'll find a section called Refining Your Technique. And once you've gone out and practiced your exerstriding technique and begun to understand what it's all about, be sure and go back to that and review the points under Refining Your Technique. First of all, it says, walk slower at first. Don't worry about speed. Speed is not the essence here. Overall work intensity of all the major muscles in the body is the essence. So start out at a nice, comfortable pace so you can master the techniques properly. Second, keep a normal stride length. What can tend to happen is as you're pushing yourself forward with the power of your upper body, if you don't consciously keep a normal stride length, you can tend to extend your stride length, and you don't want to do that. So consciously keep a normal stride length. Work on landing that pole tip very lightly. As I said, you don't want to impact the pole. You're only inviting injury. So work on that fine motor skill of bringing the pole forward into the handshake position and landing it lightly. Remember always the pump handle, the handshake, and the pump handle. Extend that arm out and move it like a pump handle. Now, one way you can check yourself for this when you're exerstriding is to look down at your arm. If you're doing the pump handle technique, you'll be able to see that upper arm moving up and down. If you've gotten a little lazy and started working the arm in the sawing motion, you won't see the upper arm moving. You just have the arm flexing open and close like this. So check to see that you're getting that extension into the handshake position and that your arm is moving like a pump handle. Remember again to grip the pole lightly. Don't try to keep an iron grip on the pole. You always want to have a nice light grip on it. Even when you're pushing back on it, you don't have to grip it tightly because of the design of the grip. Next, remember that the benefits of exerstriding are in direct proportion to the amount of effort that you put into it. When you begin, if your upper body isn't conditioned, you'll put a minimal effort into it, but you're still going to get substantial benefits. As you exerstride, remember the contractions happen with each stride, so you get about 1,800 abdominal contractions per mile and about 900 of the lateral contractions per mile. Very quickly, you'll begin to build muscle strength and muscle endurance, and you'll be able to sustain that for a longer period of time. So the more effort you put into it, the more benefit you'll get out of it. Then lastly, think of exercise as an investment. And one of the things I like best about exerstriding is you already have made the commitment to make an investment in going out and walking. And without making a greater investment in time, and without making a greater investment in perceived exertion, you're going to be getting a lot more return, because you'll be simultaneously doing that upper body muscle conditioning, you'll be increasing the cardiovascular component of your exercise, you'll be increasing the calories that you burn, and you'll be taking that stress off your lower limbs. So it's really like putting your money in the bank, in the exercise bank, and getting a real high rate of interest on your investment.
Now it's time for you to go out and give it a try. Remember, exerstriding really is as easy as walking, so relax and use the learning techniques you've just been introduced to on this tape. Don't worry if you find it a little challenging at first. It's a little like learning to ride a bike, only much easier, I promise. In no time at all, you'll make the easy transition from walking to exerstriding. Please take time to read your manual too. After you get the hang of exerstriding, I recommend that you review the instructional video from time to time and attempt to develop the best possible technique habits. Remember, the better you master the technique, the greater the benefits you'll derive from this great new form of total body exercise. Good luck and good health.